All right, and welcome back to Modern Prescription. This is episode 30. My name is Dr. Deepak Dugar.
And I'm Dr. Jeff Toll.
And today we have a phenomenal episode.
Very special guest.
Very special guest. Yes, my mentor.
We finally got him.
Yes, I know. The guru, the mentor, Dr. Raj Kanodia is joining us today. He is the most celebrated plastic surgeon in the entire world, one of the health and wellness ambassadors to the world, a huge gardener, avid workout fiend, huge foodie, real estate developer, skincare brand ambassador. I mean, you name it. He does it all. And we're going to talk into the depths of his Mamba mentality of life and how he takes on the aesthetics of the world.
Excited. And
shaped the face of the world. You know, some of the biggest celebrities that we're in love with and how he shaped their faces. And it's pretty cool. Cool episode for me personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really excited
to hear his story. And
yeah. And you've had a chance to hang out with Dr. Kanodia a few times.
I have. He's very fun. It's very fun to hang out with in real life.
Yeah.
I think, just being around him is inspiring. You learn a lot and can understand how he's been such a great mentor for you.
Yeah. You never leave spending time with him without learning something.
Agreed.
That's the coolest part. Yep. Yeah. And even if you hang out with him socially, you still learn something.
Oh, yeah.
So this podcast is great because everyone's going to learn a lot today.
So right before, we jump into the interview, just a couple of quick things I wanted to touch on this week.
Yeah.
Again, in the media this week, they've had a few sort of clickbaity articles about whether or not people have had side effects or problems after the vaccine.
Right.
After the COVID vaccine.
The Florida doctor who passed away.
There was an article about a Florida doctor who passed away, I think, within a week after getting the vaccine of a stroke.
Yep.
And I just think these articles are a disservice. If there was a little more in the article about this guy had, no history of any other medical problems. He never had a platelet problem. And then all of a sudden you got the vaccine and a day later, and there was direct evidence that it had anything to do with the vaccine.
Right.
But it's just, people unfortunately have strokes all the time. And to say that it's from the vaccine is, I think, not necessarily the case. But
it makes a great article.
It's a good click.
Great click.
So
great
I think
SEO.
To reiterate, just to anyone listening, the vaccine is not only safe, it is preventing all of your loved ones from getting it once you're vaccinated. And it's also helping to end the pandemic and letting people get back to work and get back to life. And
get to herd immunity, which is the goal, so we can take off our masks finally. But not for a while.
Yeah, because even now that I'm vaccinated,
you still have to wear the mask.
The other day I was somewhere on the sidewalk and someone yelled at me for not wearing a mask. So, And you were right. I should have had a mask.
And you've had both vaccines.
I've had both.
I've had both vaccines. Neither of us had any major issues.
No, I had my arm was sore. I had a little bit of achiness, which means the vaccine was working. It was good. It was a good thing.
Yeah, but nothing to worry about. One good thing in vaccine world is they also approved a new combination drug for HIV that will be a monthly vaccine shot. So this is huge because it'll increase consistency with people taking their medications.
I think hopefully that's the case. I think the new drugs the new cocktails, a lot of them are combination pills where it's really like one pill instead of four that people used to be on.
Yes.
But there are people who have trouble taking pills every day and they may prefer, a vaccine. And so I think for sure that's, obviously great news.
Right. Because with HIV especially, it's all about compliance. You know, just like diabetes medications, right? Yeah. You deal with this every day. It's all compliance, patient compliance. And so if you can get it into a vaccine form, wow, how much simpler.
HIV is a perfect example of how amazing modern science and medicine is. A disease that had 100% death rate as recently as 20, 30 years ago. And now totally normal life expectancy.
Yes.
So if you get it and you stay on the meds, you have a totally normal life expectancy. We even have medications. Actually, there's a combo pill now that can basically 100% prevent you from getting it, even when you're exposed to it. So called PrEP therapy. So it's amazing what they've accomplished. And, the COVID vaccine is another example of what modern medicine can do. And it's just up to people to understand that it's safe, that they should get it.
Right. And not be scared of it. Yeah, not be scared of it. Yeah, absolutely.
But more importantly,
let's take it to the big guest.
Let's get him
Huge guest.
Welcome,
Dr. Raj Kanodia. All right, and we are back with our incredibly renowned special guest
We
today.
finally got him.
We've been trying for 30 episodes
Exactly.
since we started this.
Exactly. He kept saying he was going to come, but we finally dragged him down here.
Forced him
Finally did it.
to bless us. So we have the renowned, the famous Dr. Raj Kanodia, one of the most famous plastic surgeons in the universe, probably the most famous plastic surgeon in the universe.
Yeah. They explore from the other planets just to hear about his work.
It's insane. Yeah. I mean, and the coolest thing about Dr. Kanodia is that it's not just like Hollywood elite plastic surgery. It covers every niche of the world. I mean, you have Fortune 500 CEOs who are doing IPOs. You have Hollywood, Bollywood, every niche of the world. You have heads of state, royal family figures. I mean, it's crazy.
And more importantly, your mentor.
And my mentor. Yes. You're going to get a little bit more insight into who I have copied and learned everything about plastic surgery from.
Yeah.
And we're super excited. So thank you so much for being here, Dr. Kanodia.
Dr. Dugar, Dr. Toll, Jeff, and Deepak. Thank you for your kind invitation, and I'm honored to be here. My passion, I'm a plastic surgeon and started a long time ago before you guys were born. And so the journey is from Jaipur, India to Calcutta, India to Chicago. And that's where I did my residency at University of Illinois. And Dr. Maury Parks, my mentor, was one of the kings of plastic surgery. And in those days, he was the name. And as a first-year resident in Chicago, he had come to lecture one day, and I said, this is the guy I want to be. This is the guy I want to work for. I'm a first-year resident. I got 6 more years to go. I walked up to him after the lecture. I said, Dr. Parks, someday I want to work with you.
Wow.
Wow.
And he goes, yeah, whatever. And and 6 years later, I finished my residency in Chicago, sold everything, cross-country drive, and I end up in California.
Wow.
Wow.
And sure enough, God's blessing, Dr. Parks accepted me as last fellow. That's going back to 1979. Beauty has been my passion from as little when I was 5 or 6. I have this thing for beauty. I look at a flower and I would stare and study it. And same thing with faces. My classmates, if I saw a beautiful girl in my classmate, I said, shit, that's my girlfriend. And I said, I want to be her boyfriend and no other boy can touch her. So beauty was really, really something which it was part of my DNA. So I appreciate beauty. And from then on, gradually, I said, beauty and healing people. That came from the fact that my dad was so respectful to a doctor who had come to the house. I said, I want to be a doctor and I want to have something to do with the beauty. And that led me to plastic surgery.
And when you came from India, did you come with your family or did you come all by yourself?
All by myself with $28 and one-way tourist visa tickets.
Wow.
And with the determination that I want to be a plastic surgeon.
So you knew even before you left India, that's what you wanted to do?
Yes.
Got it.
Because that's my childhood DNA of beauty and healing together, putting them together.
Wonderful.
So fast forward, did the fellowship with Dr. Parks. And again, one of the most phenomenal events right at that time. The other legend of rhinoplasty was in the same building, Dr. Jack Sheen. And I said, wow. So I had the best mentor in Chicago, one of the legends of noses, Dr. Tardy. And then I have Sheen and Parks. My God, you can't have better legends teaching you, three of them. So I'm lucky, I'm fortunate. And my passion for beauty, I learned from the 3 of the biggest masters. And then my own passion for beauty and trying to evolve. And it was absolutely magnificent that I was able to carry that through my fellowship with Dr. Parks and then beyond that into my practice. To this day, I'm absolutely blown away. I mean, people are coming from all over the world. And Dr. Dugar, you and I have experienced that. And now I'm so proud of you that you are
Thank you.
just killing it. You're the king.
No.
Really,
The prince.
really, as a teacher, you're always a student.
Mhm.
And one of the goals in life is to have your student be better than you.
Yep.
So that you've stimulated enough. And that's a proud moment. And I feel that with you,
Wow.
that you're getting there. And I'm so proud of you to
Thank you.
allow me the opportunity to be your mentor.
Thank you.
So teaching is amazing, and you're learning every day. So now, so that's one aspect. That's my foundation. That's my life. But I'm very passionate about wellness, and we're all in the health and wellness business. So one of the things when I talk, even on a social level with my friends, I say, you know what? If you know something you've learned about wellness, let's share it. Let's disseminate the knowledge of wellness among every human being. And I think if you did that, take it upon as a passion, as, your duty towards the society or the country. Wellness, wellness, wellness. Wellness is health. Health is happiness. So we want to talk about wellness in a commonsensical way. A lot of the things we hear about, the turmeric is good, but we need to incorporate it.
Right.
Mhm.
Exercising is great, but we know about it. And even intellectual and successful people who have the resources not only to practice it in their own life, but to disseminate and introduce it to the world, they don't. So our responsibility among our friends and through the podcast is to be able to tell the world that amla is the most wonderful antioxidant fruit. 50 times more potent than blueberry. Blueberry is great, love blueberries, and I eat them every day. Raspberries are great, and so is pomegranate. So we need to incorporate all these things we hear about. And I think it will be amazing that to negate the commercialization of food with McDonald's and Pepsi and Coca-Cola and all that, we have to have counteractive scientific wellness knowledge so that, okay, you can eat McDonald's, but no more than once a week. That stuff is poison. It's saturated fat. What are you doing? So we're talking about vaccine. We're going through a pandemic. We're talking about vaccine. Yes, it's killed 400,000 plus people, but obesity kills more people and creates more disease.
Totally agree.
And we need to control that. I mean, just one pill. If you look at one of the books I would recommend to everybody who talks about wellness and health is David Sinclair's Lifespan. Why we age and why we don't have to. And just so important. It's just like such an important statement. We don't have to. We have to look at aging as a disease, like he says. Because with aging, you have what are the most diabetes, cancer, high blood pressure, all these things come. So all these diseases we know as a disease are probably the symptoms. The disease is aging. And you may need to start preventing the aging at an earlier age, not at 70.
Right.
Let's start preventing.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of, especially now with the news and there's misinformation and disinformation, different people have different reasons why they're trying to sell what they're trying to sell online and in the media. So, you have McDonald's spending millions and millions of dollars on ads advertising their unhealthy food, things that are bad for you. And unless someone is selling a product, there's no incentive for people to spread a lot of information about wellness. And that's why people don't understand how to live necessarily in a healthy way unless it comes along with some product. So if it's here's this home gym, this is how you use it. Here's a Peloton, or here's this, product vitamin that I'm selling, and here's the benefits of it. But there's no general kind of education for people unless they're interested in gathering that information.
Right.
And again, it's always cheaper for the most part to eat unhealthy because the fast food is cheaper. So a lot of it, that's part of it. I think a lot of people would be interested listening to this, knowing that that's your passion too, because I think a lot of people think about you and they think about, all these celebrities that come to you and all, how important you've been to kind of shaping the idea of what's beautiful, what is the style over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one question a lot of people would want to know is, throughout your years doing this, has it changed, or are you pretty much, is your aesthetic the same and that's just how you are, or does the style change over the years, or what do you think on that?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
There's some consistencies in the fundamentals, how to straighten the septum. But one of the innovation through the progression came the spreader graft. And I'm happy to note that Dr. Sheen, one of my teachers, and myself were the inventors of that thing to allow people to breathe. Breathing is important. Breathing is, in yoga, they say life is breath. And the breath is, that's a pranayama. That's ujjayi breathing. You breathe from the diaphragm.
Yep.
So you bring the beauty and the functionality of life together with this nasal surgery. But from the aesthetic standpoint, I think you're evolving constantly. You're looking, and I'm so fortunate that a big percentage of my practice is people who are like absolutely stunningly beautiful.
Stunning.
I look at them, I go, my jaws drop. I go, oh my God, you're beautiful. What do you want from me? And a lot of them I will turn down. I say, you don't need me. You're like a Rembrandt.
Right.
But occasionally that Rembrandt, I can do a little touch up somewhere and I can enhance the Rembrandt. And yet it's a Rembrandt. It's got no touch of mine, no surgical alteration. So it has to look natural and so less is more. And I think if you recognize what's beautiful and how the nose is working with the eyes and the face and the cheeks and everything, and if you tweak it a little bit, you bring it more harmony.
Mm-hmm.
And so now beauty is ever-changing and it's evolving. And I think one of the things is you have to be a student all the time, wanting to learn, wanting to get better.
Right.
And with that, it's a fun.
One thing I've noticed about you, because I've obviously studied you probably more in-depthly than any human ever has studied
Probably
you.
I know myself.
Yeah. I don't think anyone has studied you as in-depth as I have. And what's more impressive about you to me, rather than your celebrity fame as a plastic surgeon and how good you are as a plastic surgeon, way more impressive to me than that is your complete dedication to health and wellness. I mean, it's unparalleled. Like, you see a lot of these health and wellness gurus out there who sell millions of books and have restaurants, and they're fat and they're overweight and they have heart disease and they don't exercise and they don't even eat right. And then you look at you and, you could easily be confused for being in your late 30s, depending on who's looking at you. And it's like, how do you maintain that forever? How have you maintained that forever? And then what are the little things that people could do to mimic you? Because, not everyone can wake up and become Raj Kanodia. That's obviously, your DNA is just wired differently. But what are things that people can do to kind of mimic and cheat from you? Because you do a lot of little tricks in your day. Even today when we were having breakfast, you were telling me little tricks you have. So what are some of the things that you do that people could mimic and steal from you?
I think it's an ongoing desire to stay fit. And fitness is mental, emotional, and intellectual. It's all one. Mind, body, soul. Everything has to be at the top of its game to be able to perform at the top of your game. So, I'll give you an example. I've always worked out. I love working out.
Mm-hmm.
But I worked out 3 days a week. And in the last 10 years, it's 4, 5, 6, 7. Now it's 7 days a week.
Wow.
And sometimes twice a day. I'll go home after 3 surgeries and I get this calling for the chin-up bar. I got to go do some chin-ups. So 3 surgeries, you can go, oh my God, my back is bad. I got to watch television and drink a beer. And that's one great thing to do. And that's what most people will do. And my trainer said, no, whatever hurts, you need to move. So I'll get on the chin-up bar, do 10 chin-ups, and then suddenly you feel good. And that's not enough. Then now you got to do some abdominal curls and you got to do, and I'm in the gym for 15, 20 minutes. I just taken my jacket off, still have my tie on to get me inspired. So now I'll go and change it as I come back to the gym. So, and your gym doesn't mean that you need a lot of stuff. Or chin-up bar, a couple of rubber bands, and a little medicine ball. And you can do, even in between surgeries, I roll on the roller so that my back is, because, as you know, when we are scrunched up on the table for an hour, hour and a half, and so you have to unwind. That brings me to a subject, pretty much every man over 40, the posterior chain is weak and they are hunched. Little by little, they start kyphotic spine. And you look at women, they have a beautiful lordosis. And we men, as men, because of our anatomy, unless we work at it, we cannot develop the lordosis. So not only we want a kyphosis, not only we want a flat back, we want a lordotic back. Right. So there's a beautiful alignment. It takes a lot of work. I would do close to 200 twisties with my leg up on the kitchen island, morning and evening. So little things like that, 3 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 12 minutes there.
I think this is incredibly important advice for anyone listening, because I tell people the same thing. People tell me because I'm advising on the wellness, health of, people that are very busy, CEOs, et cetera. And I tell them the same thing. If you're on a call, if you're on a whatever, you're sitting at your desk, you could be doing a couple crunches while you're listening to the other guy talk. You could, there's time, we can make time. And if it's 5 minutes, 12 minutes in a day, on a really busy day where you're in meetings all day, your body's going to be very happy for that and appreciative of you that you moved it. And that will help your mindset, help you sleep better at night. All these things, like you say, are so interconnected that even these little things, a few moments that you give yourself will pay you back for doing that.
And the converse of that is, which is what people rely on, drugs.
Right.
Vicodin, this, that. Don't even need an aspirin. Your right shoulder is hurting. Okay, get the rubber band and touch the wall with the right shoulder. Hang on the bar.
The difficult part is it's harder before it's easier. So if something's painful and we tell you to move it, it's going to hurt more that first time you move it.
Exactly.
And it will hurt less if you do nothing and drink a beer and take an aspirin. But in 2 weeks, it'll hurt much less having moved it, and it'll still hurt exactly the same having the beer and the aspirin. You'll be taking it every single day, and it'll just become a degenerative joint over months to years. And that's the hard part, is it's always, the shortcut is easier the first day and the second day, but months ahead of time, you would have been better off doing the other thing. And that's true of diet, exercise, everything we're talking about is the same. And, I think that's something that's difficult for people who have, we all have busy lives and work and children and all these other things that take away the time that we have, but it's so important to actually.
Well, that brings a good point, because you mentioned that in your career at some point you were having such severe back pain that you were saying that you can't go on, and you were told by multiple doctors that you need fusion surgeries.
They have to put a steel plate and screws to fix my back. I said, no way, I'm going to quit surgery. And right at that time, I met my Greek trainer. His name is Savas. He's a Greek Olympian. And the guy said, look, whatever doesn't move, so you bend to the left side to do your surgery, I got to move you to the right. And he even came to the operating room and showed me, how not to be static in one movement, and how, so there are moments I find 10 seconds that I will counteract my movement. My back is cured. And I have never known anybody, and that's partly my ignorance, that has had 3 back surgeries and their back is good.
No.
They're taking Percocets, one surgery. And so that's another thing. Our colleagues are perpetrating that myth that everybody needs steel plates and artificial hips and artificial knees. And we have to have a movement where we educate the people. Again, what you said earlier, because then you're selling the hip joints and the knee joints and the back plates and stuff. We don't need that. In certain cases, extreme cases, we need that. But exercise exercise. And it's mind, body, soul. You keep your body fit. So going back to 7 days workout, sometimes 2-3 times a day. My favorite is this abdominal curl. You get up on the bar and you bring your toes all the way to the ceiling and go to the left, go to the right. It's incredible. If you ever get a chance to look at it, I just love doing that. And I throw about 15 of those each session, maybe 3 to 4 sessions, 2 in the morning, 2 at night. And it just immediately gets you in a better mood because it's a mind-body-soul connection. So going back to that, working out 7 days a week. And now recently, we've all heard about it. Cryotherapy is good. Intermittent fasting is good. Drinking beet juice is good. We hear these things, but it's difficult for us to implement it. Even people like us who really want to, we have to talk to each other. We have to talk to ourselves, sit down and say, hey, beet juice is good. A little bit beet juice, a little bit beet, fresh beet, ginger, and maybe turmeric, maybe cayenne pepper. All those are wonderful ingredients. Just throw them in. That's your morning drink.
Right.
So mind, body, soul.
With exercise, you brought up a good point, because I think a lot of people, the problem is they think of you, when you say work out 7 days a week, people think of like, oh my God, I don't have time to put an hour together to do this exercise 7 days a week. What you're saying is you don't need an hour. You need 2 minutes in the morning, maybe 3 minutes in the middle of the day, maybe 6 minutes at the end of the day. You're saying incorporate working out throughout your lifestyle of the day, not just focus on a 1 hour block to working out.
Yeah, you put in, even like you put in something in the microwave to heat up for 2 minutes. Now you can do 2 minutes worth of sit-ups, 2 minutes worth of push-ups, whatever. You have 2 minutes.
And you don't need a lot of equipment. You know, you can have rubber bands. Like when I travel, I have my rubber bands. Even the plane, before I go to sleep, if I'm going to Europe, I'll do 30 rubber bands. And then the stewardess looks at me, what are you doing? I said, oh, this is my preparation for going to bed. So, I mean, there are lots of stuff. But I think one of the things with this podcast and enlightening, we need to maybe include some of these major networks like Roku or Netflix or somebody to counteract. This is the job of our AMA. They're doing shitty job. They're not doing anything.
Nothing.
So I think
I
you
think
guys
the
as young
system,
physicians.
Yeah, I mean, the system is not, as you said, mentioning joint replacements and things like that. The system is not geared towards preventative health. There's no, the lowest paid doctors are actually primary care doctors. There's no incentive for preventative care. All of the incentives are towards doing procedures and selling medications. That's how the pharmaceutical companies make money.
Devices,
et cetera. And so,
well, I think we're relying on people to need to be marketed to, is what we're talking about. And what you're saying is people need to take ownership for themselves and stop needing to be marketed to.
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought about a system, at least in healthcare, where you are rewarded so there's no incentive even for people who have insurance, or even if we move to like a single payer system where if you are healthier, so if your A1C is lower, if your cholesterol is lower,
you
naturally
get rewarded
without medications, maybe your premium is less. Maybe you're rewarded in some way, and we've never structured it like that.
Right.
Certain things are, like your life insurance maybe is more if you're not in good health.
Right.
But we've never had a system where you're actually rewarded for being in good health, which would obviously reduce the cost in the system in general. If people diet and exercise and don't have diabetes anymore, we're going to save a whole lot of money on, not just their medications, but all the downstream problems that they're going to have, kidney disease and heart disease, et cetera.
Right.
So,
and I think our society doesn't allow it. If it was up to me, somebody who's overweight should not be allowed to go into McDonald's to eat McDonald's. They shouldn't be. No. They should be metformin. I mean, I would love to hear your opinion about metformin. Reading David Sinclair's book and some other studies, I think it's a wonder drug. Anybody over 50 years of age, 30 pounds overweight, should be on metformin 850 milligrams a day. No questions and ifs and buts. There's enough studies. It's anti-cancer. In certain cancer, it prevents. It's got wellness to it. It stimulates the mitochondria. By like intermittent fasting, cryo, metformin, NAD boosters. Resveratrol. These are some of the things which have been proven.
Sure.
And we can prove more as we go along. These are not harmful. Nobody's going to die from it. Let's run. People say, let's have the data first. No, you create the data with these non-harmful things, and which are going to be beneficial.
I do think, at least in Los Angeles, there are physicians now that are more in that mindset of optimizing someone's health as opposed to just reacting to when we see the red line on the laboratories. So I don't need to wait until your A1C says pre-diabetes or diabetes. If I see it trending in the wrong direction and someone's gaining weight, I totally agree that metformin is extremely safe. It has multiple metabolic effects that will actually help, especially if someone's willing to make minor changes with their diet. It will help incredibly with weight loss if you do the other things too because of the metabolic effects. There are a lot of data about its anti-cancer effects. I agree as well. And it's very safe. Obviously, you need to talk to a doctor, make sure there's no kidney insufficiency or other issues. There are reasons why not everyone can be on it. But I agree with you that we have to have, that's a mindset that we all should have. So not just optimizing our own health and what we can do at home with exercising and diet, but also seeing a physician that can help kind of guide you through some of these things. And I think, and it's not just physicians, it's also the dietitians, the trainers, all of those parts which are equally as important, if not more, especially, you may want to have a physician overseeing it, but those other pieces in place are important to optimize for sure as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think collectively, we should, do what AMA has not done. And collectively, young group of doctors, we should create, and I think you bring up a very important point, that if there's a financial incentive to the citizens,
right,
and to the insurance company, to the hospitals,
right,
that, hey, we are creating a healthier group of people, bringing health and wellness and anti-aging into American culture and psyche.
right.
We have to move away from all this McDonald's and all this, junk. I mean, largest iconic names, Coca-Cola, Red Bull, Pepsi, McDonald's. Those are not good nutrient foods for the human beings.
Right. Just the best marketing.
Yeah, I mean, the American Medical Association and Medicare, they react to the big ticket items a lot of times. So one of the things in the last few years, for example, is they've really looked into 30-day readmission. So if someone gets admitted to the hospital for some reason and then they're readmitted within 30 days, that's now a thing where they punish the hospital for not, helping this person stay out of the hospital for 30 days. And yes, that's helpful, but it would be a lot more helpful to say, okay, let's take people in their 40s and prevent them from becoming diabetic, prevent them from developing hypertension, and rewarding, if even something like, you could think of all these different structures, but let's say a primary care doctor, if you are able to help, prevent some of these, maybe you get a slight reimbursement raise from Medicare, 2% raise per patient encounter, whatever it may be.
Right.
Where you're actually rewarding physicians for preventing disease would be helpful. But again, it's difficult to do, and it would be an overhaul of kind of the way.
Yeah, the entire way. The other thing is, there's a new concept coming about where you create modules. So instead of seeing a physician, because that's a huge burden on the healthcare system to check in with your physician every month. So instead, they create modules where you can do them online. And basically, you create these modules that as you do them, you get credits from your healthcare company. So you're able to kind of maintain yourself through modules online, but you don't have to burden the healthcare system by having them see you.
Educational type.
Educational modules, yeah. Because that
I
would
think
be
that's
somewhere.
Very great point with our digital way of monitoring health. I think
make it mandatory. If you do the module, you get your 10% off this month.
And if you can show your LDL has gone down, A1C has gone down.
The thing is, you can't
show and doing it.
The thing is, you can't. We do in my practice a lot of monitoring of people's blood pressure and things remotely, especially nowadays that we've really figured out how to do it. And there's all these Bluetooth monitoring, Bluetooth blood pressure cuff, Bluetooth EKG machines. So someone could take their blood pressure on their Bluetooth machine and it inputs into the medical record. We can see what it's doing, and then, for example, reward someone for getting their blood pressure down as an idea to,
Right.
to help prevent it.
There was an article that came out this week about fat and fit. So there's this concept of you're fat, but you're fit. Like, those guys who are overweight or the girls who are overweight, but they work out a lot, right? And there's this thought that if you're fat and fit, you still have lower chance of cardiovascular disease. And the study came out that that's absolutely false. And they have just as high of a risk as someone who's fat and unfit.
And the reason is when people, a lot of this comes down to what's going on metabolically. So even if you're working out a lot, if you're carrying a lot of extra visceral fat around the middle, both metabolically and hormonally, that is an inflammatory state in some ways. And it's also just you're carrying more of the wrong hormones, and that's what leads to some of the plaque buildup on the artery. So I agree. I would argue that someone who's thinner and works out less probably has less cardiovascular risk factor than someone overweight who works out a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this study agreed with as well. What tips do you have throughout your day? Now, we talked about working out eating wise. So obviously you eat very clean, and you also have a passion for cooking, passion for food, passion for creation, but not everyone does. Right? Most people in America don't have a passion. They have a passion for Uber Eats. They have a passion for McDonald's. So what would you suggest or some tips someone could do who doesn't have the same kind of food passion you have, but wants to incorporate some wellness throughout their day, food-wise?
I think it's been said millions of times, fruit and vegetables, green leafy vegetables. And then you get the fruit with butene and quercetin. You used to have the strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, apples, persimmons. All these fruits have tremendous amla. You have all these fruits have so much, and then you take about kale and arugula and all the herbs we have. If you can incorporate all that all throughout the day, morning, like the morning juice we had, the beet and ginger and put turmeric and everything. If you can do that, even one meal a day where you have all these great ingredients, and you can grow most of these, like throughout the first lockout, that's all I ate, kale, and I had lentil beans. I didn't go to the grocery store for 10 weeks. So beans, soak them, cook them, and low fire with some herbs, ginger and garlic and
Sounds good.
And that's it. That's how I survived, and that's good food. I'm not compromising. I'm not depleting myself of any nutrients. So I think we have to spend a little bit of effort. And me. Stop and think. Like when you're eating, I still remind myself, usually I take about half an hour to 45 minutes to finish my meal. Every bite, step back, and you chew your food. Because you want your parotid juices, you want some maxillary juices to start digesting the food. None of us do that. Even as aware as I am, I have to remind myself 3 times every meal, slow down. And then you chew, and you realize how much better the food tastes because you're taking the avocado, even avocado, which doesn't need to be chewed. If you keep it in the mouth, the taste changes and you really enjoy it even more. So slow down and masticate your food. We know about it. Humidifier is my another passion. Our bedrooms are dry. We need to have a cool mist ultrasonic humidifier that will increase the quality of sleep. 8 hours, you're getting the humidified air on your face, and that's the air you breathe, so turbinates don't have to get large. And you don't have any congestion issue. You don't have any sinus issues. So these are natural, normal things you can do, to incorporate. And again, I keep saying, if you exercise, you suddenly emotionally feel good. And then if you have time, do a little bit of yoga and meditation. And if you believe in God, a little bit of prayer. So mind, body, soul. If you incorporate all these 3 things into each other, it's wellness, health, and happiness.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
I think, it's beautiful to hear because I think, again, I just want to reiterate that when a lot of people think of plastic surgery, we think of, just being focused on beauty, but really you're focused on people's wellness. And I think you feel when you have someone in your office and you take care of them and whether you do surgery or not, or turn them down, you're helping their wellness. And, when someone, you can help someone, you truly, and I see that in your happiness and how much you love what you're doing. And that's beautiful to see. And I think Deepak has learned that from you too. And I see that with him as well, that he has that satisfaction at the end of every day, knowing he's helping people's wellness on the, whether he says, okay, let's go to surgery, or no, you don't need this. I think either way, he feels that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is great. And I think it's hard when we're all busy to feel that way all the time. So that's
right. Because
beautiful.
you get caught up in the circle of just doing work.
But I do think, anyone listening to this is going to want to hear some fun stories from you guys. So I won't ask any personal HIPAA breaking questions of you've done surgery on, but when you guys watch someone in a big movie or in a magazine and you maybe did a little bit of help on that nose, do you guys feel a sense of pride? Or do you guys keep in touch with your patients? Do people follow up years later and still thank you? Or
I'm going to let Dr. Kanodia take this.
Do they just get this new beautiful tweak, a little bit of improvement, and they go on to be a movie star, and then, you never hear back?
Well, first of all, I think, it's a tremendous sense of pride and joy, whether they're movie stars or not. And I owe a tremendous gratitude to all my patients right from beginning to today, that they trust me and that I have to be worthy of their trust and respect they put upon me. So with that responsibility, I want to deliver the best all the time. And so I have a tremendous, tremendous respect for patients coming to me. They have thousands of choices, and I feel very honored and humbled from that. It's great to see those faces on screen, big screen, small screen, all the time. And what's really great that at the end of the movie, they'll have this guy held the light, Susan Smith held the light, somebody held the camera. And
where's your
I'm
credit?
looking for the nose by Dr. Kanodia or nose by Dr. Dugar, and it's not there. Same thing with magazines. You see the covers of big supermodels and, eyebrows by Anastasia, face by Sonia Cashew. Where's the lips by Dr. Kanodia? It's not there. So, but so be it. Now, it is such an honor. It's such an honor that somebody, I equate it to Rembrandt's painting being presented and my jaws drop. I go, wow. And to be able to do a little tweak and let the human eye or the lens of the camera like them a little bit better, so the reflection of light is improved and the human beings, we perceive it as a prettier version of the same person. It's such a huge high, such a kick, such a kick.
And do your patients, I guess to both of you guys, do your patients, ever call years later or you catch up with them and they voice their appreciation, or do you just have to assume that you're getting that appreciation?
No, Dr. Kanodia will tell you a story, but one story that Dr. Kanodia told me, which has now happened to me a few times, and it's more, he says, more impactful than celebrity stories, that will be when he gets a call 6 or 7 years later, and the mom will tell him that the daughter who got her nose done 6, 7 years ago, who used to be very timid and shy and very reserved, is now having this huge position at this company and leading an amazingly successful life. And the mom knows that all the years of therapy never helped. All the years of parenting and trying to get the daughter to be more confident never helped. They can pinpoint it to the minute the cast came off. When Dr. Kanodia revealed the cast, and they saw an instant change in that daughter's or that son's mentality for wow, I can finally conquer the world today.
Yeah.
Very well said. That is the biggest, thank you for me is when they say stories like that, it changed my life, When I lecture in Europe, some of the conferences, some of the young doctors or nurses will come up and say, I've been following your career since you did Dr. 90210. I became a plastic surgeon. I became a doctor because of you. I say, wow. So, that's great that if I can inspire a kid. So I do like 12-year-old or 16-year-olds, if they have any inclination that they want to be a doctor, I said, come and spend a day with me in my clinic. I want you to shadow me. And several of these kids have grown up Some of the kids I did noses on 30 years ago, they're going to be a plastic surgeon. So, it's really great that I'm able to inspire and have a little bit of legacy behind that people were inspired.
I would say half of the town, more than half the town, has shadowed and learned from Dr. Kanodia at some point in their career.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see, how open he is with his doors in terms of allowing people to come and learn. And, because you've been doing this for so many decades. I mean, I always compare him to, in my eyes, he has the same mentality as Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Raj Kanodia. Like, they have the same mentality of this intense desire and passion to play the game. Like Kobe, it doesn't matter if he's injured, doesn't matter what it is. When he's on that court, he wants to kill everyone and win. And that's the same intensity you have. I mean, in the 80s, you were doing the biggest celebrities in the world. In the 90s, you were doing the biggest celebrities in the world. In the 2000s, you're doing the biggest celebrities in the world. 2010s, you're doing big celebrities in the world. In 2020s now. I mean, this year, I can say it because they made, they openly did it. The two biggest TikTok stars in the world got their noses done by you, and they posted YouTube videos. And, he's not going to say much about it, but, it's the fact that you stay relevant with the world's most leading hype celebrities of all time, no matter what generation. I mean, it's a testament to your work ethic and that fire that you have to be the best always. Like you don't rest on your accolades from last year, and that's what's so inspiring. You want to be the best tomorrow, not yesterday. And I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very kind. Yeah. No, that's exactly. I get up in the morning. I said, I want to conquer.
Yeah.
I want to conquer. I want to deliver the best nose, and I want to deliver the best. And one of the things is I want to make people happy. I want to make people happy. So if anything I can do, if I can make a smoothie for them, or if I can do something and put a little smile on their face, if I can cook for them, and and doing a rhinoplasty, septal rhinoplasty to make them breathe better for the rest of their life. A lot of athletes I've worked on, they've come back and said, I didn't do anything cosmetically, but they come back and said my athletic performance has increased. Musicians, their voices have improved because I've cleared the reverberation chamber in the nose. The nose is not only a breathing chamber, it's a sound chamber. So how cool is that take somebody who's already done 16 records and you clean their sound chamber, reverberation, and they re-record their voice tracks again. Mm-hmm. So these are some of the things, again, a little bit of effort on my part, my passion, makes these changes and inspires people to, improve in their careers and, gives them the ability and the...
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. If you could give, it's hard for someone who doesn't have access to you to understand what it takes to become someone like you. But for people who have the opportunity to listen to this podcast and just learn from you today, what would you, for younger people or older people who want to be better at anything in their life, what is like a couple of things you would tell them? How do you become better at whatever it is you're trying to get better at? Like, how do you improve in life?
You have to have a vision. You have to have dreams. You have to dream every day. I dream every day. I have new visions every day.
Even now?
Even now.
Wow.
You have to dream. You have to vision. And then you have to have this thing that came from my father, to beat me up and say, oh, you didn't come first in the class. So I still have feel when I get up, I go, I got to be number one in the class. So number one. So I compete with myself. I have to be better tomorrow. I have to be better, So I think competing with yourself, even in exercising, my trainer will go, if you give me 6, it's good. And 10 will be okay. I don't want to be good. No, the 6 will be okay, 10 will be good. I said, no, I don't want to be good. I want to be better. So my mind, before I get up on the bar, I say, I have to give him at least 12 to get a really excellent. So that's the mentality I live with. I need to be better. It takes discipline. Discipline, I think, whether you're talking to a 4-year-old kid or an 80-year-old person, discipline. It's hurting. What are your choices? You can sit back and drink a beer, or no, go jump on the chin-up bar and stretch that right shoulder, and you'll feel better. So discipline. It's not easy to have the pain in the shoulder and hang on. The pain is like excruciating, but the moment you're done, pain is better, and you go, wow. So discipline is really critical. Vision, dreams, and then in the dream is who's the best. who's the best at this? Who's the best flute player? Who's the best car driver, race car driver? Who's the best doctor? You want to emulate. You want to learn. You want to place yourself alongside them, observe them, watch them, learn from them. And that's what I do. I still do. I am like a 4-year-old kid. I want to watch Dr. Toll. What is he doing? What's he doing new? I want to learn from him. And he can teach me 1,000 things. You can teach me 1,000 things. So if I'm in your company, I'm a student. I'm watching you. I'm not talking to you, So I watch tennis, not with the ball going to the left and right of I watch tennis. Where is the right wrist? Where's the racket? How is the left ankle? How's the right ankle? Where's the knee? And I watch. So I watch one player like that in the tennis game. So I want to be better. I want to be better. I want to be a better human being in every which way. And I like criticism. I think you should allow your friends, and you should tell your friends, hey, do I do something you don't like? Please tell me. I want to improve myself.
Wow.
You know,
That's a really good one.
I think I love everything you just said. And I think another thing that you have is a real joie de vivre. You enjoy life and you enjoy what you're doing. And so when you set a goal for yourself and you're working towards that goal, you're enjoying you're enjoying the pain of the workout. You're enjoying every surgery. You're enjoying doing it. And you have a smile on your face. And every time I'm with you, it's that same energy and the same smile that you have to everyone around you. And I think that's an important, when people have to have, one way you have discipline is you enjoy the journey. That allows you to keep the discipline. And when someone sets a goal and they feel like they're punishing and their pain throughout the journey, then they can't keep the discipline.
Right.
So to keep enjoying the journey, challenging yourself, but enjoying the challenge to yourself. That's how to keep the discipline, I think.
Yeah.
And have an open mind. Learn from each other. You're never too old to learn. You want to learn, absorb. You're a sponge. You keep your sponge dry so you can learn. You can absorb, No time in your life could you take the attitude, and you brought it out earlier, Kobe and Jordan, no time in their life did they ever have time to say, oh, I'm the best. No. No, what happened here? I won the gold, I won the thing. And you never almost win a gold medal. If you're 100th of a second less, you didn't win the gold medal. So you don't say, I almost won the gold medal. Did you win it? Yeah. So you have to win the gold medal every day, every second. Yeah. And yet, temper that with meditation and enjoy what we have accomplished every day. And that's the yin and the yang. Accomplish, enjoy, and constantly be seeking for newer heights.
Beautiful. I don't think we can end on a better note than that.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom and,
Wow. Yeah, this is a great, I'm going to go back and listen to this episode. This is amazing.
Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. Huge wisdoms. So thank you everyone for tuning in. This is an amazing episode 30 of Mono Prescription. And continue to tune in. We have great guests this whole season. Dr. Kanodia was so gracious today to share so much of his amazing wisdom with us. And we really appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stay tuned.